Welcome, race fans, to a showcase of driving perfection. My name's Webbo, and let's get down trackside. Hold on tight, we're gonna go for it. Boom, that's how it's done. Whoa, easy. Surely not all the way around the outside. Oh yeah, we're cooking now. Shake and bake, baby. Shake and bake. This is a roller coaster of emotions. The drivers are pushing their machines to the limit and beyond. Woo, it doesn't get any better than that. We wait for the lights, the revs build and so does the excitement. And it's drop the clutch and go, go, go! Okay, driver, it's hammer time. This driver is an artist and the racetrack is their canvas. Did you see that? Did you see that? Wow! Let's watch it again. Ooh, hopefully they'll get away with that one. What a great start, and it looks like we can build on this now and really make a good race of it. There's the fastest lap, folks. No mercy on the menu today. Yeah, sideways is rarely ever faster, but you do get style points. And we roll the safety car dice. Leave them alone. They know what they're doing. Oh no, someone's gone bowling into turn one. What a shocker. Moving left, jinking right, keep them guessing. Lawn mowing as a side gig. And we go down the inside, Danny Rick style. We're on the edge of our seats here, folks. The racers are pushing their limits, risking it all for that coveted first place position and the all-important win. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The two cars ahead are fighting with each other. It's slowing them down. And through we go! That driver is a complete and total. A word has not been invented to describe how complete and total they are. But they are one, and a complete and total one at that. And it all comes down to this, the final lap. If you smell what this driver is cooking. This seems like as good a time as any to ask if you've subscribed yet. There's your Grand Slam, pole, fastest lap, and the win! Welcome everybody back to the International Racing League. I'm sure you're familiar by now. It's Sunday night and it's time to go racing. Happy race day, everybody. My name is Webbo, here to take you through tonight's action. Looks like we have collected for ourselves a decent amount of drivers, and good evening to Floydie and to Loop Racer, who already stopped by the chat to say hello. Grateful for you, grateful for everybody who tunes in and adds to the support of the channel in any way that they possibly can. Shout out to Floydie for all of his hard work as well in that regard. Looks like we are getting our drivers together for you. I think we're waiting for potentially the driver formerly known as Nike to restart his system and get himself in. But I only mention him because he's going by a different name now, Uncle Lando. And the name roulette continues with Captain Nike, son of Chuck Norris. In terms of our driver standings, we find at the moment Unsku on top of the pile on 137 points, 3 wins, 2 podium, 2 second places, 1/3 to his name, and the resurgent and hopefully reinvigorated Bjorn de Boer, having taken his first win, launches into second position in the championship and joins us tonight as well. He's on 133, just 4 shy of Unsku on top with that single win and 5 further second places to Bjorn de Boer's name. Our reigning champion, Merck the Merciless, is AWOL at the moment, unfortunately, and has slipped down to third position in the championship in 83 points. With Speedy Spud, our fantastic host and server admin, on 4th place on 63 points. Ole is in 5th with 45 and not here today, sadly. Milan joins us. Lots of drivers with their excuses coming in already. No practice, old setup, and so on and so forth. Milan has 42 points in 6th position. Moist, our double world champion from seasons 1 and 2, is down in 7th, having not been able to show, but taken a win, and on 37 points in 7th place. Ricky Maru, likewise, no longer with us, but helping us with the standings nonetheless, on 29 in 8th place. Jeremy Clarkson is joint 7th with Floyd and Ashtube. Joint 9th, excuse me. Sticky is in 12th place with 26 points, almost certain Sticky to jump into that group or ahead of that group and get up to perhaps P9 tonight. With a single point or two, he should be able to get there. AJ is in 13th place, very late where AJ lives. Unfortunately not able to continue racing with us at the moment on 21 points. Then comes Jay on 14th on 12 points, tied with Chuck Norris. Then we have Ivan Tonsik on 10 points on 16th place. We have TKM in 17th with 8. Loop Racer 18th on 4 points, joint with Anton, and Studios has 2 points to his name. And then we'll talk to you a little bit about the constructors. Of course, we're at Suzuka for the Japanese Grand Prix today, a regular sequence of racing and qualifying, as you have come to expect here. So we've got Uncle Lando, who has joined us now. I think the drivers are ready to get underway. The Haas of Unsku, with the worst connection tonight, but connecting to us transatlantically. Williams are head of the championship, thanks in no small part to Bjorn de Boer, and has 160 points. Haas have 137 in second, entirely down to Unsku. Then we have McLaren on 105 points, Mercedes on 83. We have Red Bull on 55. The V-Carb Racing Bulls team on 48. Aston Martin have 38 in 7th, and Ferrari are in 8th on 12 points. No points yet for Sauber or Alpine. Hello to Zombie and Studios and Lando as well, who have joined us here in the chat. Nice to see you all. And as Studio says, some new faces to drive with tonight. So generally speaking, we do collect very fair races here in the International Racing League. But there's always a little bit of doubt when you're not familiar with the other drivers that you're around. So there'll be a little bit of hesitance here. Uncle Lando back for a week, maybe more. He's teasing us with his amazing form. And talk about amazing form.
in the Racing League. He is leading the championship and won the race on Friday. So in rare form is Uncle Lando back to it. And not only that, but you'll see on my community posts, he actually did a shoey for winning in Australia, and props to him for that. So fantastic to see. I did enjoy that no end when he showed me the video. Very, very good indeed. Very good sport. Let's get ourselves ready for the race, and we'll wait for the first driver to come out of the pits. Looks like a sunny qualifying session to start with, at least here in Suzuka. And we're on board with Lumstar in the Ferrari. Looks like he's going to be the first one out there. You get a good idea of how much decline there is down the start-finish straight, and especially in the pit lane, thanks to that camera angle. It's actually a stepped concrete apron for the pit boxes. I think that looked like it might have been an Alpine of Studios potentially coming out of the pits behind the Ferrari. But yes, the Japanese racing track looking fantastic out there at this stage. Lumstar won't be familiar with my routine of taking the first driver out of the pits and following them along. As Uncle Lando said, did a shoey. He's obviously not listening in because I've just talked all about that, Uncle Lando. But yes, bravo. Bonza, mate. Fair dinkum. There is Lumstar just getting to grips with the Degner corners. And dirtying those left tyres, which he'll come to rely on shortly, but down into what I like to call the Kobayashi hairpin. And in we go. And back out again. So 18 minutes of short qualifying await us to decide, of course, the order for the Grand Prix, followed by a 50% race, as always, here at the International Racing League, unless we're sprinting, in which case we do single qualifying one-shot. Lumstar looking like he might be a controller driver, actually, so it might not be particularly comfortable riding on board with him for the main race. He certainly seems to be making small and slightly, let's be kind, slightly jerky manoeuvres on the steering wheel, unless, of course, he's racing from elsewhere. And he's got some lag there. It was actually a yellow flag for him as he got ready to get out there onto the grid. But here we go, about to start a lap of Suzuka, downhill into turn 1, taken flat out in qualifying with brand new soft tyres on. But you've then got to get on those brakes and trail brake into turn 2, and we're into the snaking S's. Then you'll see the right-hand turn here in a moment is the anti-banked turn, so it's literally off camber. Then this is the Dunlop curve, the longest of the snake corners and the final one, before heading for a very short acceleration point into the Degner. Don't need to necessarily brake into Degner 1, usually just a downshift, and Lumstar getting his tyres dirty and off into the gravel for a moment. Let's join Studios, shall we? Who heads down. It's got a little bit of dirt on the camera lens there, thanks to following the Ferrari. Into the hairpin we go. Yellow flag on the track. I think the Ferrari might have spun slightly. And GTK also suffering from extremely low grip, it seems, at this Suzuka circuit. Despite the bright sunshine, it must be wintry temperatures out there. And the track yet to evolve to a point where the drivers can really push. We've come out of Spoon 1 and Spoon 2. And Zombie saying, I feel a lot better now after seeing that. Yes, indeed. Flat out, usually, through 130R. That felt like a hesitation there, but I think getting out of the way of another driver who slots in front. And I hope that wasn't Lumstar. It's possible, of course, GTK Studios going for a slow starting lap. But that looked like Smithers now, who again is out of the way. This is a little bit unusual to see the drivers just jostling for position this early. And TKM in the Kick Sauber has got the fastest lap so far, a 130.2. Milan next up here, who's managed to get a 138.3, but that looks suspiciously like a charge lap. This looks like a lap where he's pressing the ERS button and really going for it. So hopefully This is going to be taken at speed. Yeah, downshift through 6th gear, through Degner 1. Then you've got to really arrest the progress of the car and get the front axle under control. Speedy Spud lives up to his name and goes fastest to 29.821. This is Milan, though, on a push lap. Yellow flags here and there throughout the track at this stage. Into Spoon 1 we go. Forgive me if my voice fails me today and I start coughing. It's been a fairly intense few days in the comms box. Already done 2 hours 20 today. So left we go into 130R. Nice and smooth. Purple sector here for Milan as Uncle Lando. I said he was in rare form. Straight up to the top with his first flying lap, a 129.479. But the big guns have yet to come out in our championship at the moment, at least. Unsku and Bjorn de Boer. Milan goes fastest, 129.184. Unsku and Bjorn de Boer have been the ones fighting over those top positions. Loop Racer fastest. That's a good lap from Loop Racer. Great to see some speed from Lenny. Braking heavily down into the Casio Triangle. Final chicane here. Scene of many an accident in Formula 1 history. And powering through. Short run to the line. 28.0. Obliterates the lap so far by nearly 7/10 of a second. 128.042 from Unsku. And he is definitely on it. Bjorn de Boer playing his customary games at the back of the field. They're staying in the pit lane until the track rubbers in and gets ready. He's obviously very confident, usually runs 2 runs. So feeling like with a win behind him last week, he can afford to do that. And just watching the paddock chat as well as the live chat here to make sure everybody is okay. DRS is open for Sticky, and he's got the track to himself, which he'll be very relieved about. Several corners between himself and the next car in front. No one coming out of the pits in front of him, and it's tackling the start of the S's here. Fairly long shadows. It is a late in the day in Japan race time, but it could be quite cool temperatures for the drivers. It's 10 minutes and 35 seconds to go until the checkered flag falls into Degner, and there again that downshift, and using 4th gear just to make sure that the rear axle doesn't get lost on him, before then straight braking with a touch of trail braking and a little bit of momentum into the Kobayashi hairpin. 3rd gear briefly to get out of that hairpin, but straight up into 4th before the rev counter reached the blue. And then off we go towards Spoon. A difficult corner, Spoon. You've got to carry speed, but you also benefit from taking that second part a little bit slower and getting down on the power as quickly as possible, because you've then got the longest flat-out section of the racetrack. This entire run out of Spoon all the way down to the Casio Triangle is completely pinned for maximum speed. Try not to pay too much attention to those braking marker boards on the approach to the Casio Triangle. They always catch me out. They are in the wrong place, quite frankly, as far as I'm concerned. They are not actually showing the measurement to the apex of the part of the Casio Triangle we care about. This is GTK Studios, again looking quite hesitant. I think he wants to give himself space for a hot lap, potentially. This does, yeah, I was going to say, it looks like it's a hot lap for him. There is his timer, 1:34.3. That, I was going to say that looks like a time where the drivers are not pushing or using the ERS, but he did use a fair amount of ERS. This then is Bjorn de Boer out to try and compete here with Unsku, and it's purple in the first sector. So a good run and looking very quick through Degner 2. Just threading the needle here. Very well colour coordinated helmet with the Gulf and Duracell brassy orange. I always appreciate those fine details like that. Through the hairpin very comfortably for Bjorn de Boer. He will get his next sector time after Spoon, halfway down the back stretch, as they call it. Running out wide again. Not hitting the apex of Spoon 2, but keeping a lot of momentum. It looked impressive. How impressive was it? Well, It's a purple second sector as well for Bjorn de Boer. It didn't light up on his top right of his lap time, but on the track map it did. Aggressive through the first part of the chicane, seemingly managing to cope with the bumps very nicely, and second position, but 0.3 of a second down on Unsku, who is touring at the moment back into the pits. We haven't watched the lap with Smithers yet, and I think he's about to start his flyer. No, he's just set a 30.002, has Smithers. So I'm on the hunt for a driver who is still pushing it. We've got Speedy Spud here, who is 1.5 faster than he's been before. He needs to find a fair amount more than that to overcome the V-carb of Uncle Lando. Firing out nicely. A driver being as kind as possible out on the grass, damaging his floor, I dare to suggest. And we've got Speedy Spud then into 130R. You see the Ferris wheel on the right of screen. Speedy Spud getting a purple second sector. That might mean he's trimmed out for top speed and is hurting in the first sector where it's all about downforce. Medium to high speed corners, half a second there that time, and he did overcome Uncle Lando out there, and Uncle Lando is next to try and get a fast time, leading a league, at least one league elsewhere, and clearly ready and up for this one. It's been a while since we've seen him. He used to fly the all the cargo for our International Racing League World Tour, but I don't think he's been doing that recently. We've had to hire a new pilot. Big lock-up into the hairpin, but with a nice line nonetheless. And it's fine to trash the soft tyres in qualifying, of course. You can treat them very, very harshly, but they're no good to you on the second flying lap around a taxing, difficult circuit like Suzuka, and getting very wide, but holding on to the car on the way out of Spoon 2. That was almost disaster for Uncle Lando. He's 1/3 of a second up on his previous time, knocking on the door of the 128s here. Smooth as you like on the brakes into the Casio triangle, and then a short run to the line. Stay right if you can, but if you are grip limited, it's not going to buy you very much. Gains a 1/10.5, stays 7th. Spud is still on top at this time. Let's check out what Loop Racer is up to. Loop Racer usually in the Kick Sauber, but has been transferred to the Mercedes tonight. Heavy braking then, down to second gear. Might want to change up very quickly on the way out for ideal traction. But what do I know? I've barely spent any time on this on this game myself, actually driving. Tend to be on other platforms when I have the opportunity, and I'm not commentating, which is not very often these days. Milan is on a hot lap here. He just passed, I think that was Loop Racer we were watching, and he's quicker. Might get into the 128s with a monster trip through this final chicane. You get just the right amount of curb on each of those two sections, and a short run to the line. He did gain nearly 0.3 of a second, but it wasn't enough. Stays 5th at this time. In the pits are the rest of our contenders at the top of the tree, at least at the moment, and we're trying to find a driver then who is still on a push lap. I think Sticky is, and the tyres proving to be as sticky as the Spud. Out we go then of Spoon 2. Lap update coming up. So we go underneath the track cover, but no, on a slow down lap at the moment. We haven't seen what Floyd's up to. 0.4 of a second he is up at the moment. Let's see what he can do. We haven't heard from Jessica yet, Floyd's #1 fan, who always stops by to wish him well. Even did so on Friday in an unaccustomed time for racing. So 0.4 now from Floyd. Might get himself ahead of Smithers here, waiting for that downshift and braking zone. Again, a lot of curb in the second part of the chicane. Just have to wait for the car to sit back down again when you do that. He got into the 129s, but stays 9th, I'm afraid to say. Milan's still out. This is then Ivan Tonsik as GTK Studios is deposed by Lumstart. Ivan struggling on the brakes a little bit, but he's had a lot of time off the game and league racing, so he's really getting better and better with every race. Looking for that smooth exit. Haven't talked about Nutter actually yet. I think he joined us just before we went live. 0.8 of a second improvement for Ivan. He needs to just find 2 more to get up into the top 10. Konnichiwa, says Ricky Maru. Absolutely. Arigato. And Ivan Tonsik, nearly 0.7 of a second improvement. Now only 0.3 away from the top 10. Not quite there as the Unscoop, the pole sitter and loop racer come out of the pits on their outlaps. Let's see if GTK, is he starting a lap? I think he might be just starting a lap right now. And Lumstart, I don't think going to compete with this particular lap. We'll ride with GTK for a few minutes. I'm expecting though Unscoop followed by Bjorn de Boer to be where the battle is at here. 0.6 of a second separating first and third. Bjorn de Boer splitting that gap neatly down the middle. Absolutely stabbing on the throttle there, GTK. That was very Senna-like blips. And off onto the grass. Oh, it's very, very tight here for Studios. Plus 1 second to his previous time. Unfortunately, we will go and join Unscoop then and see how his defence of his provisional pole position goes as he fires out of the back straight. Managed a 31.7 in TT. Looks like it would be dead last, he says. I don't think so. We've got a couple of 34s there, but maybe as Unscoop washes out through turn 1 and then seemingly teleports up the track. And we've seen this a couple of times because he's racing from the United States. So it's not always straightforward for us to track exactly what Unscoop is doing. I'd be surprised if he ticks over this timing beam in the positive. And yeah, indeed, I think he might decide to, I was going to say, finish this lap and then start a new one. But there isn't time. 30 seconds remaining on the clock. So I think this lap is completely washed. Although he performed an absolute miracle in Canada last time out. Floyd has just retired from the session, I think, in the pits. And we join then Bjorn de Boer into turn 1 for the end of this qualifying session. One of the last ones to cross the line. There's an Aston Martin who I think will be there in the end. I think that might be Nutter down there. Well, it has to be Nutter, surely. So Bjorn de Boer, he knows exactly what he's got to do here. Try and get a 10th every sector. Through Dunlop Corner we go, and job number 1 is complete, and it's a purple sector as well, so very quick in that first sector for Bjorn de Boer. Down into the hairpin we go. Tiniest little lockup, but actually the car pulled in really nicely into the apex. That was a 1 in 10 trip through the hairpin there from Bjorn de Boer. His tail is up, and he's ready to go today into Spoon. And he was super, super quick coming out of Spoon before. Picks up the throttle. Handles what the rear axle wants to do, which is pull away from him through that Spoon 2. About to get over the line here for the sector. And he's done enough for provisional pole position. Bjorn de Boer just needs to hook up these last 2 corners now. And can he take that rare form of his first win of the season and make it another pole position? Here we go, across the line for Bjorn de Boer, and it is pole position by less than a 10th of a second. Tremendous pole position from Bjorn de Boer in the end, and there was only Nutter left on the circuit ready, and he retired. So Bjorn de Boer takes pole position in the dying seconds of qualifying. Exactly what we want to happen, to see Bjorn de Boer and Unscoop duke it out here in Suzuka for the 8th round of our 10-round championship. Tremendous stuff. Really pleased for him and for our championship, as it will bring everything much tighter and give him confidence going in. Floydie saying brilliant to Bjorn there. And lots of congratulations coming in for him in the driver chat room. And yeah, they obviously appreciate good racing, good form when they see it. So congratulations to Bjorn de Boer. Really, really good stuff. Unsku pushing him very close indeed in that second position. 85 thousandths of a second only between the two. We've got Sticky in third. Very good performance from him. And Loop Racer, out of nowhere, frankly, and performing brilliantly in qualifying. Loop Racer in fourth place. TKM is in fifth. Uncle Lando in sixth. Milan in seventh. With Speedy Spud in eighth. Floyd Pink in ninth. Smithers in 10th. And then outside of the top 10, Ivan Tonsik, Nutter, Lumstar, and Studios. We will take a 5-minute break, and we'll be back with you in... Excuse me, I said this might happen in just 5 minutes' time. Uncle Lando complaining about his equalised performance car and the performance of it, that it's got, just said, hope this car's got race pace. Quali was shocking. And Bjorn saying helmet is his flag, not the Williams colour scheme. I only said it was well coordinated with the colours, with the Williams colour scheme. But all very good indeed. Great save. So complaints about it's the Honda engine in the V-carb. It sounds like a lawnmower. says Lando. Need to get a nice McLaren overlay to that engine. Weather's looking different. Those drivers in the live chat, any update on the weather for us? That concrete in the pit lane is looking a little bit damp and the skies are overcast. Have we got any weathermen in there? No Jessica yet, Floydy. Uncle Lando says it's cloudy, thank you. Ah, oh, no rain, says Floydy. Oh. Sun later. Good stuff. Okay, we've got the green light from Sticky, and we are about to get underway. Hope you're looking forward to this as much as I am. I almost made that joke, Lando, with clouded with a chance of meatballs, but I restrained myself. Good luck to everybody, as we have new drivers with us tonight, but hopefully we will have the same level of competition at the front of the field. We've managed it even with only 7 drivers. We still ended up with 2 or 3-way battles at the head of the field, time and time again here. The cars are ready, and it's time to get underway. The excitement builds with the revs as well. And it's dropped the clutch, and go. One of the McLarens out on the grass already, and there's plenty of action happening further back in the grid, but it's Bjornebor who takes into the first position. Loop Racer slots into third behind Unsku, with Sticky in that fourth position. We've had a VSC, thanks to all that debris on the race circuit, as some of the rearmost drivers are only just getting their way through. Ivan Tonsik will be livid. He's got to do a whole lap with a broken front wing, and I don't think he's the only one. Let's have a quick look. Let's see, the Ferrari there of Lumstar also caught up in that. The other drivers looking okay at the moment, but certainly we saw a McLaren peeled to one side. I think one car was perhaps slow getting away, and that was the issue. I think that's the only damage then appears to be Lumstar and Ivan Tonsik, but there were fair bits of carbon fibre flying up and flying out of the grid box was Bjorn de Boer. Unsku doing well on the dirty side of the track to resist any further manoeuvres coming from from Loop Racer, excuse me. And Sticky in that fourth place is obviously tucked up behind Lenny. Loop Racer, I'm using his name incorrectly there. Nutter up 4 places, GTK up 4 places, who was obviously not very happy as we go green flag racing once again. Yeah, not happy with his start, with his qualifying performance studios, but he'll be happy with the start. That is Uncle Lando hassling Sticky already, and having a look down into the chicane for the first time, and it looks like we've got the Aston Martin of Nutter going through. We've got studios running out of room there on the racetrack, running over the line. He'll be lucky not to pick up a penalty for going across and cutting over quite as much as he did, and we've got 4 pit stops underway, but Bjorn de Boer, Unsku and Loop Racer are at the head of the field. We've got medium tyres throughout the grid with the exception of Milan. Everybody else starting on the mediums, and obviously the drivers pitting now, switching on to the hards, but even hard tyres are going to be going some to make it 25 laps around this punishing Suzuka circuit. Not many overtaking opportunities, but it doesn't diminish the skill required to drive these cars. Down into the hairpin we go then, for the first time at racing speeds at least, and then you can see the gap that has already opened out. There is a 5-second gap between 8th and 9th, and a 17-second gap between 10th GTK Studios and the rest of the grid who have yet to pit. Up at the front though, as Bjorn de Boer gets the medium tyres under control. They should be warm enough now and ready to go racing, and then we'll be looking for around the half distance point of the race under normal racing circumstances, as Unsku is getting very close down that back stretch and through 130R. Beyond the Board needing to get away, and does so well enough away from the chicane. And Loop Racer looking very good in his third position at the moment, as we've got a potential overtake coming from Speedy Spud onto Uncle Lando. Speedy Spud moving to the outside. Looks like Lando already got him, and this is retaliation for that earlier move. Round the outside goes the McLaren. That will become the inside for the next corner. And bravo. But there we go. As Uncle Lando hangs it out and stays tucked in to the corner. That was brilliant racing from these two great friends and rivals, and really fantastic to see. Ricky saying going to be a 2-horse race, possibly, although Uncle Lando is moving forwards. He needs to get a hurry on here and not get too bogged down in a fight with Spud. But down is the hairpin we go once again. Unsku just keeping the measure of title rival Beyond the Board here. Ricky Maru himself knows a thing or two about 2-horse races for the title, as he took Mercked very close very often in our season 3 last season. Came out the worse for it, but he certainly gave us so much entertainment, pass and repass, even at circuits like this. He and Merck the Merciless went at it. Now, I used to call Ricky Maru relentless, but he has in fact relented, so I have to take that moniker away from Ricky Maru. But Uncle Lando in 4th position, and trying to distance himself here from the McLaren. He needs a little bit of DRS from the car in front if he can find it, but it's still too far distant, and they're swapping positions behind as the McLaren retakes once again back into 4th place. And it looks like Lando perhaps using a bit too much ERS and having to charge it and harvest it at this stage, and getting close here. But lots of battles through the grid. Let's have a look at Nutter versus Smithers. Nutter is following. Smithers in the Ferrari is ahead of his teammate by a significant margin here, but we've got really close racing at various points throughout the race. We've even got Sticky passing Milan in the pits. Milan presumably having some damage repaired. That would be way too early for a scheduled pit stop. Half a second separates the top two, and then less than that between 3rd, 4th and 5th, and then 6th and 7th as well. Tremendous racing. It's only lap 4 of the 50% distance race that we have here for you tonight, the Grand Prix of Japan. And I'm pleased to tell you that we will have a sprint weekend next week in Hungary, followed by a double point finale in Silverstone. Ricky, come back for the Silverstone double point finale, please. Beg, borrow or steal a wheel from somebody. Oh, GTK Studios out of the race. Let's see if we can't catch where exactly that might be. It looks to be the approach to the hairpin, which is an unusual place to go wrong. Where is he? Don't see him. So Studios in the Alpine, disappearing from the camera view and into the pits. Will go several drivers, I think, now, because we have got ourselves a safety car. Floyd Pink has unfortunately picked up a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and Beyond the Board and Unsku were there in time, getting off the medium tyres onto the hard tyres. It's the only logical decision right now, but 22 laps in distance await the drivers. They will presumably have 20. We have 2 laps under the safety car at least. Oh, that was a bit cheeky from Uncle Lando, crossing the white line. He'll do very well to avoid a penalty there on the car. But let's see. Might be able to join us, he says. Well, at least Atsu hasn't got rid of his rig as well. But Speedy Spud in 6th place. Beyond the Board in 2nd still. And Floyd Pink now down into 10th place. He did make it into the pits, but picked up a hell of a penalty. A 10-second penalty it is for speeding in the pit lane. A drive-through for Floyd Pink, excuse me. Lumstar with the 10-second penalty. Crazy stuff for them. Position changes so far as we get ready for the safety car process. Nutter up 5 positions from his start. Smithers has yet to pit and is up 9 at the top of the tree. So that's going to certainly make the restart somewhat interesting. Older medium tyres against new cold hard tyres, but new nonetheless for Beyond the Board and Unsku. And I think everybody else has done what I said. The logical thing was to get off the medium tyres and onto the hards to maximise your chance of running through to the end of this Grand Prix. Let's go back to the head of the field then, as Smithers in the Ferrari follows the bright red Mercedes safety car driven here, which is slightly sacrilegious. Should be a Honda, really, shouldn't it? One of the NSX GT500s or something would be pretty sweet in Japan. But then I suppose Bernd Lando would have to get used to different safety cars, even more than 2 that he has to drive for the regular part of his job. Well, in we go. Smithers pulling a Bjorn move, not pitting, says Ricky Maru. Bjorn doing non-Bjorn things and electing to pit under the safety car. It worked for him last week, so he's now decided that he will probably do the conventional strategies and pit under safety cars. Looks like we're going to have another lap under that safety car, as we've got Lumstar just trying to catch that train. He will still have to run to a safety car delta, but it's not quite as slow as the safety car itself. TKM might have a chance at redemption here as well. Back onto a similar strategy as the main group, with the exception of Ivan Tonsik and Smithers. Ivan pitting to lap 1. Studio saying, absolutely gutted. Lost grip, something, disappeared off my live chat. Let me try and catch that. Where are we? That will be really, really annoying to me if I have completely lost the live chat that he's just said. He just wrote me an essay as well in live chat terms. Let's see if we can resurrect the alternate screen and get hold of that message from Studios. I will do my best for him. As the safety car lights are still on, we are still go. And you've just got to avoid running into each other in this section of racing. Huge and very egregious penalties for crashing under the safety car. Just ask Ole and Milan earlier this season in Jeddah. Absolutely gutted, lost grip, span, lost my front ring, then tried to get back on track, spun on the gravel, hit the wall. That is an absolute cluster situation for Studios. Lost his wheel as well, which was very careless of him. Sorry to hear that, Studios. A difficult day. Hopefully that's your bad luck out of the way for the rest of the season. As the Ferrari of Smithers, excellent, is at the head of the field here. I'm sure that's not the first time anybody's done that for Smithers. I wonder if we will have Mr. Burns in his ear, telling him what to do as we get ready to go through the Casio Triangle. Smithers then in an unfamiliar position of leading the race and the restart for us here at the International Racing Lead on his debut. Bjorn de Boer looks to be getting a really good drive out of the corner. Unscoop possibly caught napping slightly, and maybe not for the first time under safety car conditions, I venture to suggest, as Bjorn de Boer was tempted to go for a move down the inside on Smithers. Bjorn generally really good at his restarts on the hard tyres, as Unscoop is completely at sea, and up the inside is trying Loop Racer, and Loop Racer undoing his race, his fantastic form, and dropping down to 9th, make that 10th position, and I think he spun again. Unfortunately, those dirty tyres through the single racing line section of the S is down to 13th position. Loop Racer is going to be absolutely gutted. I know exactly how it feels, because I've been it every time I try and race anywhere. Bjorn de Boer is 1.5 tenths of a second away, and Unscoop has had a really lucky escape here, because Bjorn could have had it into the corner. I appreciate that, Studios. You have at least furnished me with a repeat of the chat, so very kind of you, as we approach Spoon Corners 1 and 2, left, double left, then onto the back stretch, and then Bjorn de Boer just trying not to run into the Ferrari here, and powering on by Unscoop. Has got a choice of toe. He might get tucked up alongside the Ferrari. You can go too wide down this 130R. Unscoop will try and tuck in, but he doesn't really want to risk it, and it looks like Uncle Lando getting the elbows out and getting busy and trying to make the pass on our championship leader, Unscoop. Coming back to us, Uncle Lando here, and coming back with a bit of grit in his teeth, as the Ferrari gets the position back again. Again, those medium tyres with the good traction coming out of the corner. Loop Racer saying, unfortunately, Cold tyres couldn't do anything about it. Good evening to Leo, who joins us for a moment at least. The Ferrari got low wings, says Ricky. That's a good spot. I'm surprised you can see wing angle at that distance. No, I know it's the top speed you're talking about. But yes, indeed, very good spot and shout from Ricky as we run through Degner 1, excuse me, and 2 now, and through towards the hairpin. Ricky, I think I need you as a co-commentator. How about that? How do you feel about that idea? As Beyond the Board, 1.5 tenths of a second away in P3. So heading down towards Spoon once again. And it's Smithers, Unsku, Beyond the Board. Unsku sneaking ahead there of Bjorn. And Speedy Spud down in 4th. Uncle Lando can't shake off Speedy Spud. And now he's got his McLaren teammate directly behind him, trying to challenge. Unsku is also going to challenge, heading down towards the heading down towards the chicane. And Leo is making me laugh here. He's going to stay until the Scuderia are no longer in P1. Well, it might be a wait to come. He's got a really good top speed here as Unsku with the same Ferrari engine. Maybe Leo will stay if Haas are leading and retakes the lead there, does Unsku. There is a Ferrari engine leading the race, so stay with us, my Italian friend Leo. And so there we go, up into the lead. And there, just confirming what Ricky was saying about having tremendous top speed, but obviously much poorer in terms of the downforce, because being passed like he was in a different formula up the hill, up the snake, was Smithers, dropping down 2 positions, unfortunately. Nutter being overtaken by Sticky further back. They are side by side for a moment, and through we go. And Leo is going to stick around for me because we've got a Ferrari engine leading the race. Speedy Spud hassling the back of the Ferrari now. It's just queuing up here to pass Smithers. But Unsku getting away and almost getting to outside of 1 second away. Smithers is struggling to arrest this blood loss that he's suffering, frankly, with the McLarens queuing up behind him and almost tripping over each other to make the move. Here comes Speedy Spud, has got Milan right behind him. Spud is saying, Milan, wait your turn. I was here first. And it's McLaren versus Ferrari heading down into the 130R, down towards the Casio triangle, and he's taking the inside line, and he's going to hold on here for another trip out of that final chicane. Already the McLaren level, but the Ferrari's power gets him back up to top speed. But I think we've got Speedy Spud. Oh, and they're going to split the difference here. A Ferrari sandwich getting completely mullered by the McLarens into turn 1. Tremendous exchange, and unfortunately offline the Ferrari managed to clatter into the McLaren. I think the Ferrari, though, coming off worse. There was a part of carbon fibre being shed there by one of the cars. It might have been side pod on the McLaren. It might have been end plate of the Ferrari, but they look to be intact. So that was very dramatic there for a moment, as Beyond the Board has managed to just about live with the pace of Unsku up front, 8 tenths of a second away. And we've got Smithers now struggling here on those old medium tyres. He still has to switch onto the hard tyres. He's waiting for a second safety car, but he's going to have to go in and fix some damage, I think, at this stage. Now Nutter in the Aston Martin is the next one to claim it. The Ferrari as a victim. 3 tenths of a second between these two, as the gap at the top of the pile tonight just shrinks slightly by 0.5 tenth of a second. Loop Racer is back in touch here, potentially with Ivan Tonsik, and hounding the back of the Kick Sauber. Loop Racer in the Mercedes out there, and then again the Ferrari stretching its legs down the back stretch. We'll just check out and see as we've got Loop Racer going the long way around the outside and quite happy to duke it out here. And Ivan Tonsik leaves enough of a gap to the inside, and they'll go side by side past the pit lane entry, and they clatter one another, but that was a lot less of a contact. The Ferrari pits of Smithers. Lumstar down in 12th at the moment, and fully side by side go these two who have spent a good half a lap busy with each other. But finally, the newer hard tyres on the Mercedes paying dividends there. Loop Racer back up to 8th on the recovery, and then a big gain from Beyond the Board down that stretch, and will rejoin the battle for the lead as Beyond the Board has picked up some great pace there. on the purple first sector on this lap 11 on the same age tyres as Unsku. They both came in for hards during the safety car. The McLarens are still with each other as well. Let's join Bjorn de Boer then as he just tries to clean the air up on the front wing as they approach Spoon. Bjorn was very good through here in qualifying, and he's better to the apex. That should mean just a fraction of a second sooner on the power. And I'm being told, studio's telling me that Smithers is a she, not a he. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. As through we go, and are fully alongside, but the Haas with the better line into the next corner. Bjorn braving it round the outside. Unsku wasn't expecting him to stick it quite there, expecting the cutback that didn't come. Toyota Gazoo Racing on the back wing, Japanese power, at least in partnership, and here comes the Williams with the DRS open and retaking the lead of the race. These two great rivals. Jessica joins us, presumably to cheer on Floydie. She hasn't done so yet, but I shall remember that from studios saying that Smithers is a female racer down in 13th, but racing incredibly hard. As Zombie says, this race has been solid. It certainly has been a barnstormer so far. Action throughout the grid. Nutter is not far from TKM now, and Ivan Tonsik also living with the pace of Loop Racer for a moment, but it looks like Ivan Tonsik might have gone off track because he just dropped down behind Uncle Lando, who has snuck on straight through. Floyd Pink in 11th, Lumstar in 12th with his teammate Smithers at the back of the grid now. And back to the battle at the head of the field between these two great rivals, Bjorn de Boer and Unsku, as Jessica's now shouting her support for Floydie. And Leo saying might have brought some bad luck to the Ferrari cars. Well, Unsku will definitely do his best here in the Ferrari-powered Haas to uphold the fantastic racing heritage of the Ferrari team. He might have a different car manufacturer name on the rear wing, but on board with Unsku as we chase down Bjorn de Boer. We'll get the DRS. We'll have the overspeed. Here it comes. Bjorn, is he going to move to the inside or not particularly care whether the move was coming there? And it looked like Bjorn was not going to budge off the racing line. Handed the initiative to Unsku. Didn't want to dirty his tyres by going defensive and compromise his run through the next few corners. Back down to Nutter then, who was chasing down the kick Sauber of TKM and pushing hard now, really pushing hard to try and get into the top 5. Alvin Tonsik drops down because he goes into the pits for another set of the hard tyres now, and some hopefully some repairs to the car. Might be retiring, but we shall see. As lap 13 of 27, approaching half distance of the race. Lumstar has retired from the race on the approach to the pit lane. That's a dangerous position for the cars, but there's a good gap in the field. No. The safety car has been called for the second time. And I think the medium tyre window is open for another set of boots here for the drivers as Ivan Tonsik drive-through penalty. That feels like someone heading in to retire potentially, but no, he's back out of the well, that is very surprising to see him having picked up that penalty, a drive-through penalty, speeding under the safety car, I believe. And we know how dangerous that can be in Japan in the Suzuka track. But Bjorn de Boer then heading towards the pit lane once again, and Unsku coming in with him. We're going to be less than half distance remaining once the safety car comes back into the pits. So the McLaren's coming in now. I wonder if Milan has to use the hard tyres. No, he started on the hards. So it should be all equal for everybody as TKM decides he's on hard tyres. He could gain some positions here. He could gap some portion of the field. Somebody smoked those tyres right up in the pit lane. I think it was Sticky. But the new leader of the race is going to be TKM, leading the Aston Martin of Nutter, both on hard tyres, and the safety car virtually stopping and not restarting, and that will be a problem then. That is the Williams of Bjorn de Boer temporarily overtaking, and he will do very well to not pick up a penalty for that. What is happening? Bjorn de Boer thinks that he's the leader of the race, and he's not. He's going to have to give these places back, or a penalty will be coming his way. Surely he will be told. on the game, but sometimes that goes so wrong, and you can second guess it. But he's just got the communication, and off the track he goes. Gives up a position. Why is he completely off track here? As Bjorn de Boer is very slow. Well, the safety car was not playing very safely there. Bjorn de Boer getting back onto the track, and thankfully, I think in his rightful position, he just made the natural assumption that the slower cars that had been behind him were going to be allowed to pass the safety car, not realizing that they had not pitted. But also the safety car to an absolute standstill probably led Bjorn de Boer to believe that as well. It's not always simple and clear on the HUD for the drivers, the heads-up display, and the engineer can be giving strange messages sometimes. They can get confused, but here we are. I think back to where we should be. TKM leading the race, Nutter in second place in the Aston Martin, Bjorn de Boer and Unsku, your net leaders of the race effectively. However, there's no reason to suggest that TKM and Nutter would have to pit again, but they will definitely have difficulty on the restart. So they'll be hoping for trouble further back and gaps to open out. Ricky saying, look, they didn't crash. Well, Bjorn went straight through a couple of cars, at least one car anyway, at the safety car. But thankfully, the ghosting came into effect because there was no way he was stopping that car. And that would have been curtains for our race order as well. Smithers in 10th place now, staying on the hard tyres that she'd put on earlier on, as TKM now pits under the safety car, which for me, you either pit at the start of the safety car or you don't pit. There's no point pitting mid-safety car. But obviously feeling just a change of mind there. And there we go. Ricky saying, if only Williams could pull that move off in real life. We are entering the carbon era of Williams. They'll be pulling off those moves left, right and centre next year. This year, even now. So just wait, because Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon are going to rule the world in Formula One racing. Nutter leading then by 0.5 of a second, but under the safety car conditions, TKM has recaught. And okay, guys, talk to me a little bit about TKM's strategies today. I think that his pit crew didn't fit the right tyres there. Why on earth would you pit mid-safety car, put softs on with half the race distance to go, just under? I think that's one of those situations where you either your display doesn't function properly and you can't select the right tyres, or sometimes the pit crew just flat out overrule you and put a different set of tyres on nonetheless, especially under these confusing race strategies and conditions. But TKM down in 12th now. We lost Lumsden, we've lost Studios. Ivan has been off track a few times and has suffered damage at least once right at the start of the race, maybe even more. And Ricky saying softs, I think he's a banana. Yeah, he's going to struggle. And 12 laps on soft tyres, that's a very, very big ask around Suzuka. You might say it's completely impossible. Safety car will come in, and they get all condensed there, going through 130R. Nutter could have slowed them a little bit earlier or a little bit later, but going blind through 130R under safety car speed is difficult. Watch out here for the McLarens, who have been very aggressive. Bjorn was very good through the restart previously, but he wasn't following Nutter last time. He was following a different car. So Nutter goes, and here comes Unsku getting slow away from the corner, and Milan is right with him. Milan has the hard tyres on, and he's not able to pass cleanly, but going right round the outside goes the McLaren versus the Haas, and he's going to try and stick with the driver, with the championship leader, but he doesn't quite make the move stick. It was a really good attempt, as winding through the snake of drivers now we are, and down with Ivan Tonsic at the back at this stage, but JSC Nutter has got Bjorn de Boer right behind him. And Bjorn de Boer has already overtaken him going up the hill, thanks to those new medium tyres. And this is a great opportunity, and Bjorn aboard knows it, getting very loose coming out of Degner 2. We've had another driver hitting the wall, and that's Sticky hitting the wall through the Degners, and I think might have caused some damage to the car. At the moment, he's okay. They're dealing with it with waved yellow flags. Wow! As Unsku almost removes his front wing, and a wheel possibly on the back of the very slow, hard tyre shod Aston Martin of Nutter. And now we get contact as Milan is impatient to get by and not lose track of Bjorn and Unsku. Milan on the newer hard tyres, and good to the end of the race as we go 3, possibly even 4 abreast going through 130R. And that was uncompromising from Loop Racer, who has got the bit back between his teeth and goes up into 3rd position. What an overtake from Loop Racer there. But he goes straight to the pits. No way. Oh, that's absolutely heartbreaking. Back to the action, though, because we're going 3 wide once again. The 2 McLarens and Uncle Lando going around the outside. And there's a little bit of a clattering there happening. Going through turn 1, thankfully they rescued the car, but this is all about Nutter causing a real moving roadblock. I can't believe the manoeuvre that that we had earlier there, and a tremendous manoeuvre, but it just didn't happen for him as Loop Racer into the pits. I'm sure he'll let me know why he had to pit, but maybe with some damage. But what an overtake, and maybe that helped him. Bard break, he says. Bard, you're going to go and do some Shakespeare? I jest, of course. I'm not quite sure whether Loop Racer has to head into, is that Heartbreak? Oh, Heartbreak. I thought you were going to bed. So that was my reading of that first of all. But Heartbreak, he says, unfortunately. But why the pit stop? Was it damage? Is that why you had the overspeed? But there is a retirement from Nutter heading into the wall. What is happening tonight? These drivers can't seem to avoid this safety car. Number 3 today we are going for. As unfortunately, it looked like Nutter was pitched into the wall, either under his own steam or someone else's. And we roll the safety car dice once again to see whether the drivers go for it once again. Nuts for Nutter, says Ricky Maru. But back with the safety car, and the top 2 don't pit. But Milan will pit to get off those hard tyres. Uncle Lando pits now as well. Loop Racer saying, I've spun. What, you spun into the pit lane? Is that what happened? Which wouldn't be the first time I've seen drivers do that, but into the pits, soft tyres going on off for TKM. New nose for Uncle Lando. And this is then Floyd Pink dropping down the order into the pits himself as well. Loop Racer has managed to clear several drivers. That was lucky on the way out of the pits, back up to 6th place. It's one of those races where Loop Racer just can't not keep getting into the mix of the race. So tremendous to see him back here again, qualifying in 3rd position. Let's see if he can't get himself a podium after all this difficulty and heartbreak. So he did spin into the pit lane. That's what happened. Just the rear axle getting a little bit loose on the restart. Cold tyres, and he's just forcing him into the pit lane. New medium tyres are the way for Milan. He will be very dangerous now, Milan, on brand new medium tyres after the safety car. And TKM has gone for that manoeuvre too. Uncle Lando has put used hard tyres on. Question? Really? Has he run out of tyre sets? Is that what the game has decided? And he had to use a set he's already used once. But that will be far less than ideal. He's now got to restart with one hand time behind his back with older hard tyres than anybody. But yeah, a very confusing sequence of laps there as we are into the final 9 before the safety car will come back in at the end of the next lap, I do believe. But absolutely thrill a minute this race has been. Often Suzuka can be a bit of a snooze fest, but not so today. As drivers, it's always a challenge. As who is in the pits now? Ivan Tunzik for how many pit stops? Let's check out how many pit stops our drivers have made. Ivan is in for number 3, or will that increase to 4? TKM has had 5 pit stops and is still in 6th position here tonight. Loop Racer has 3. Beyond the Ball, Unsku, Speedy Spud. This is way more than you usually expect. Sticky down there with 4 stops as well, but TKM topping the list at the moment on 5 pit stops. Penalties to pay, none. Everybody has either had their drive-through. That was probably why Ivan was just in the pits. Everyone's had their drive-through or paid their 10-second penalties. And now we've got a clean slate for the final few laps of this race. Brilliant racing. Ivan Tonsik, Sticky have gone for the soft tyres. They might just make it to the end. They'll need a little bit of coaxing and gentle treatment, but could be quick on the restart. Unfortunately, they're right at the back of the grid. Ivan trying to hang on to that final point. Maybe try and get a second point with the fastest lap if possible. Fastest lap sitting with Beyond the Bar 1:30.799. That would be within reach of the new soft tyres. You have to say right now, Ivan and Sticky have the best chance, you have to say, with the fastest lap. But while we're under this safety car and you're watching with me live, do drop your predicted podium in the live chat. And Jessica can only pick Floydie once. Everyone can only pick Floydie once, but I have to explicitly say that to Jessica. But yes, snaking around, getting the tyres warm. Beyond the Ball will now, for the first time this race, restart at the front of the grid. And caution coming through this 1:30R when the safety car lights go out. And then suddenly we will have action. Ricky placing his bet. Milan, Bjorn, Unsku. That's a bold one. Milan down in 4th, but as Ricky has spotted on the brand new medium tyres, Bjorn is making them wait. We've got an accident. We've got a Ferrari into the back. There, that's Smithers, unfortunately, and that is a natural consequence of these collisions, as Unsku is jumping ahead there for a second, but that's just the lag as Unsku is restarting. Expect Unsku to teleport forwards here and resume where he was. The McLarens once again as Milan goes temporarily up to 3rd, but drops back down to 4th to avoid running into his teammate. Smithers pits and retires the car, thankfully, in the pit lane to avoid a 4th safety car. And we start lap 20 with Bjorn leading Unsku by 0.8 of a second, and Speedy Spud and Milan are where the action's at the moment. Milan with possibly no way of communicating to Speedy Spud, no two-way radio between the McLarens here. Have to go through engineer Mark or Jeff, as Uncle Lando now has a penalty and almost loses the car coming out of Degner 2 and drops down the order. I think he might have gone off the circuit, and there he is losing out positions, and another double front wing end plate dropped. So now Beyond the Ball is 0.9 of a second away from Unsku, who is really struggling to get the car back under control after the restart. One of Beyond the Ball's absolute specialties is those restarts, is switching the tyres on at any point in the race, but he really has shown a really good set of skills around that tyre prep stage. Smithers leaving the session, sad to see her go, but Speedy Spud leads Milan for the moment at least, and we ride on board with Milan on those stickiest and softest and warmest of new medium tyres here. Ivan Tonsik, another penalty for him on the car. That's himself and Lando then. Lando will be pitting, I do foresee, as Tonsik and teammate PRS TKM go side by side. TKM is then passed by Sticky as well. There is action everywhere on this racetrack. It is very hard to keep up with what camera selections I make, and what I'm currently talking about to get you there is Milan in 4th place, 0.3 of a second away, but Speedy Spud slipping out of that DRS range from Unsku. Milan, if he wants to be featuring as a potential winner of this race, needs to get a hurry up very soon. I'm looking at the kick Sauber of Ivan Tonsik, who has just passed another driver. Sticky has passed TKM. These soft tyres are working beautifully at the moment for Ivan Tonsik. For how much longer can that possibly continue? Because surely they will die off and drop off the cliff very, very soon. But for now, at least, the closest battle is between our McLaren teammates here. Milan on the newest tyres, but the delta between the two tyres, the performance delta, is shrinking with every lap that goes by. No manoeuvre look into the chicane. Back looking down the track to the two soft runners, Ivan Tonsik and Sticky, as Unsu gets a new fastest lap. I think Sticky may have just run into the back of Ivan Tonsik. And there goes Milan, past Spud finally. And is that too little, too late for Milan? With 5 laps to go, he now needs to catch Unscoot very rapidly. And the gap was almost at 2 seconds a moment ago. Loop Racer and Ivan Tonsik go side by side through the snake. And, Sticky and Ivan Tonsik go side by side. And Sticky has managed to overcome the Kick Sauber finally. Going up that hill. Loop Racer is on his own in 5th position at this stage as we go back to the lead battle as Unsku is chasing down Bjorn de Boer. Well, it won't be any good to follow the guy until the final lap. You have to make the move beforehand. You can't guarantee that you can make the drag race out of the final corner to the line. It's a very short run to the line and the DRS isn't enabled for long enough. Running wide out of Spoon goes Bjorn de Boer. The first indication that he's feeling the pressure already here, at least from my seat anyway. 0.4 of a second between himself and championship leading Unsku. This is for the lead of the championship between these two. If Bjorn de Boer can win, I think he will take a lead of the championship by just 1 or 2 points, depending on who has got the fastest lap. And running through, getting good exit out of the corner. It looks like the McLarens might have to play leapfrog here with the DRS and try and bring themselves into contention for the W tonight, as Unsku is now riding in the wheel tracks, following Bjorn de Boer beautifully here. Now up the hill, and we'll see where he is slightly stronger than Bjorn, if anywhere. It looked to be that final sector where Unsku really closed in with the use of the DRS potentially down the back stretch. Here we go, into Degner 1. Absolutely throw the car in and hope the rear end sticks. And again, looking really good. Out of Degner 2 is Bjorn de Boer. Looks to have the edge and the first sector, first half of the lap even. And the McLarens continue to battle back there. Let's go and have a look at what they're up to as Speedy Spudders got back past Milan on the previous lap, but it looked like Milan was hungry to make the move forward. And now 2.93 seconds separate the McLarens and Bjorn and Unsku. So they are costing each other time, these two. Teammates not really acting as such. And it sort of jogs my memory that we might have had a little bit of papaya on papaya action earlier on in the season as well, as Milan presumably now happy to wait for the opportunity to come out of the final corner and use the DRS. Unsku is going to try and do the same thing as we follow Bjorn de Boer, and we tick over for 4 laps to go. Let's have a look at Spud and Milan. Milan could not overcome Spud that time. His tyres have done 4 fewer laps than Spud, but somehow Spud is hanging on with some great pace here today, as Unsku is 0.6 of a second away. And we ride then on board with the second McLaren here in 4th position. Of course, the team don't care which of their 2 drivers finish ahead. In this instance, I know Milan was reluctant to race tonight, but I'm sure any of those feelings will have gone out of his head. Will we go for a late one? And I think there was a slight hesitation on the throttle there from the car in front, and he spins, and they're following each other incredibly closely, and Milan ends up slow. And who's going to possibly feature on that podium? But maybe even Loop Racer, who moves up to 3rd position. Absolutely astonishing stuff. But behind him is Sticky on the soft tyres. Loop Racer's got to hang on for another couple of laps, takes a wide line into Spoon and holds on for now at least. A 10-second penalty for ignoring a yellow flag is so unfair for Loop Racer, I can't believe it. Surely he can keep racing and hope that the stewards look favourably on that situation. But it's given him and him alone a penalty for that one, as he overhauled the McLarens who had crashed. Milan and Speedy Spud will have a fiery exchange in the debrief, I dare say. Sticky moving forward. Bjorn de Boer's just been overtaken by Unsku for the lead of the race, and Sticky now on the soft tyres is going to blast past with DRS as well. Going past Loop Racer, who just needs to hold on here because the soft tyres will definitely fail towards the end of the race. It's lap 25 of 27. Unsku is in the lead by 1/3 of a second only. And we have tiny gaps between the field throughout the race. And there goes the Red Bull off the circuit. I don't know if he fell or he was pushed, but Sticky falls off the track. And that promotes Loop Racer. Milan will now be in Loop Racer's mirrors, and Loop Racer will not believe where he finds himself or the penalty he's been given. And through he goes as Ricky shouts, "Sticky!" And that was so difficult. And this McLaren is looking incredible. This Mercedes is looking incredibly dirty. I do feel like that they've overdone the amount of detritus imprint on the cars here this season. But it looks like it's done Le Mans, let alone a 50% race around Suzuka, as Bjorn de Boer just that 1/3 of a second away. Another yellow flag going through Spoon. That would look to be one of the Kick Saubers slowing. That was Ivan Tonsik, and Sticky gains that position back again from Ivan Tonsik, and it's Unsku leading by just under 1/2 of a second, starting their penultimate lap of the race. And now these two will continue to fight as Milan and Loop Racer. Loop Racer goes to the inside, tries to defend the position. Milan has the better tyres, does he, at this stage? But Loop Racer is brave around the outside and expertly holds him off. I think both drivers probably harvesting a little bit of energy, going to switch the engine down a little bit for ideal recharge on the battery. They're both clipping that red light on the back of the cars. It's not raining. It's indicating that they're doing something a little bit funny with the battery. Either they're below 10% or they're in an extra strong harvest mode, as Bjorn is now trying to regather himself. He has to pass, in my view, Unsku down the start-finish straight this time. It is very rare to see somebody make a mistake out of Spoon 2 and give up the lead of the race on the final lap. So Bjorn de Boer as Milan passing Loop Racer. Do they contact? Not quite. Milan looking really aggressive, really quick. And he sweeps around the outside before they even get into Spoon. Obviously using a little bit of electrical deployment. But now this is the key for the lead and the outright win of the race is will Bjorn be able to get past Unsku? Has he played himself into an absolute blinder here? He couldn't be much closer as he uses the DRS. We're going to go past the Haas, and now it is advantage Bjorn de Boer as we run down into turn 1 for the final time of asking here. It's taken a while to get here tonight thanks to all those safety cars, but look at this, a golden opportunity as Loop Racer also has an opportunity then to pass down the inside. He goes, wow, and very, very late on the brakes once again. Milan just nibbling away at the rear axle. He might get past again into the next corner, and he does. What an amazing sequence these drivers are treating us to. What absolute superstars they are as Loop Racer then has to try and get this place back once again. Unsku heading down towards the hairpin, and he got really out of shape. No, he didn't. It was part of this lag on the car, I think, again. Let's have a look and see that our next rivals come towards that hairpin. Will we see Loop Racer go for a move? It's not quite on here. And there's another yellow flag coming through Dunlop, but it won't affect the leaders of the race. Through Spoon 1, through Spoon 2 we go. Now it's about what Unsku has left in the tank, literally and figuratively, as he closes in he'll get the inside line. They'll go bang wheels on the way through 130R. It's bravery personified, and the two title rivals go into the final chicane side by side. They come out of the final chicane side by side. The tighter run, it lies with Bjorn de Boer. It's going to be so close, and it's 0.07 of a second between them, and they cross the line together, and they will be the first to shake each other's hand. What an outrageous finish. That was here in Suzuka. Milan is going to cross the line in third position. Speedy Spud will come home in fourth, and Loop Racer obviously had a difficult lap there. He gets fifth on the road. I think that will stay, thanks to the stewards. Will investigate that one. Loop Racer takes the penalty. Ricky finishes that with a review of close. I need more words than that, Ricky. Sticky gets eighth. Ivan Tonsik. Floyd was promoted to sixth, but check out, I think TKM and Floyd might drop back down one position each. And Uncle Lando, he won't be enjoying this return to the International Racing League today. It didn't go his way. Bjorn de Boer, though, hats off to these two for putting up the most outrageous battle. It's now 5 wins for Unsku. It's 2 wins for Bjorn de Boer, but crucially 5 second places as well for Bjorn. So he has had a tremendous season with us so far. We have 2 races to go this season, and I need an entire week off before I can call another race with these guys. What an absolute barnstormer of a race and a finish that was. Unsku is fist pumping in the car, but will be slightly disappointed. 7/100th of a second. Loop Racer saying, lost it in the end again. I think you can gain a couple more positions, but you didn't put up a great race there, Loop Racer. It was a really, really fantastic. And as he says, hopefully that's a P5. But what a battling win. As Uncle Lando says, Loop Racer, you're nuts. I hope that's a kind phrase, a kind phraseology there. Ricky saying, Bjorn looked stronger throughout the race. Looked like Unsku cut a bit of the last corner, last lap. But might be wrong, but wow. Yeah, fantastic stuff. And the champagne is flowing for the Williams team once again. Was really, really good. Loop Racer, I had 60% worn tyres in the end, and they were dead. But yes, another great race between Bjorn de Boer and Unsku, and they didn't even have time to compete for that fastest lap. Uncle Lando took the fastest lap of 1:30.1, almost just over 1/10 of a second away from Bjorn de Boer's lap. Unsku in second place by 7/100th of a second. Milan in third, and Speedy Spud in fourth. TKM came home fifth with Floyd Pink sixth. Loop Racer seventh, but probably fifth after the penalty is taken away. Sticky in eighth. Ivan Tonzik in ninth. Uncle Lando taking home 2 points for finishing in 10th with the fastest lap. And sad to say, we lost Smithers, Nutter, Lumstar and Studios throughout the course of the race. GG's to Bjorn de Boer, Unsku and Milan. A high quality race and high quality podium. Thanks so much, everybody. Tune in this time next week and the week after for the finales of our season. Remember, we go to Hungary next for a sprint weekend, and then we finish with a double point race around Silverstone. This has been the International Racing League. This is Webbo. Thanks so much for watching, and we will catch you on the next race day.